Hello everyone, welcome to my January 4th CSGO DFS slash betting, like sometimes, slate breakdown. We have a little bit of an uninteresting three-gamer here, but we could still maybe look at it and figure some things out. I do believe I have a unique approach to this slate, so when we get there, you guys might find that interesting. Quickly recapping yesterday. Again, I don't want to spend too much time recapping in CSGO because we don't know when the next time we're going to see these teams are. The DFS slates are pretty different day to day. Like you never know what level of CSGO you're going to get. Like we went from random mishmash tier 3 teams with not even sure on rosters, and now we're looking at some of the best teams in the world here in this tournament. So don't want to spend a lot of time recapping in the future. But there is some things to learn, I think, still. So the first series was the Complexity MIBR series. This was an extremely disappointing series for me in my eyes, both from a DFS perspective and just I guess, hopeful of North American Counter-Strike in their future. As an American, I like to see at least competition from the American teams. And that is not what we got from this Complexity lineup. They looked pretty uninspired. I don't know. I'm sure there's better ways to put it, but I wasn't a big fan of what I saw. It seemed like they were trying their best to lose. I'm obviously not accusing them of throwing. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Some of the things they did looked super weird. I don't know. It just seemed pretty. I can't find another word other than uninspired. Like, everything looked pretty basic and standard and default, and wasn't a lot of want. I don't know. Again, it seems weird to like try to word it, but it just kind of seemed like MIBR wanted it more. They were a little bit more enthusiastic and aggressive and that kind of thing. So we got that series wrong. Again, we did kind of give ourselves the caveat of a lot of those teams had very limited sample sizes. So we knew with Complexity that they had played one day and had like a couple maps, the same for MIBR. So we tried to gather as much as we could from that data, but there just wasn't much there, and then we got it wrong. There's not a lot to say, at least from my perspective. Complexity, I think maybe they'll be able to like pull things together and look a little bit better as time goes on, but I just have not liked what I've seen so far from them. On the MRBR side, I'm pretty impressed with how well they've been doing. I think it's still a little early. They've played 2 days now, but those have been 2 pretty good days, and I think they're going to be pretty undervalued going forward. A little bit of a foreshadowing there, maybe, but they've been pretty impressive to me, and Complexity have been pretty unimpressive. Again, we tried to go off of 1 day of sample size. I got it wrong. Sucks, but kind of take them on the chin when you can't get them all right. And, this was a bad take. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I got this one wrong. And, it happens, but it wasn't too egregious. Like, these were still close maps. Maybe if some things go Complexity's way, they end up getting the sweep. Grim was pretty letting down. Floppy's score looks just as bad, but he had a lot more impact. Like if you're down here below your in-game leader who is playing from America on European ping, that's just pretty sad. Like no other way to mince that one. Like that's just really bad from Grim. Again, I think Floppy had a lot more impact than his score gives him credit for. So I don't know. There's just pretty uninspiring there from Complexity. So we'll keep that in mind going forward. That's a little bit of foreshadowing as well. From the Navi Liquid series, you guys remember I had the hottest of hot takes going with Liquid over Navi. And again, I think this is one of those scenarios where you kind of have to separate the result from the take. I still think going with Liquid was the right answer there. I think maybe if we had like a little bit more variance and like if we had some things go our way, I think this could actually have been like a pretty good take and a good the building block, I guess, maybe to go off of. I think Liquid are still a little undervalued in the betting aspect world, and I do like Navi. I still think they're good. I think they're not needing of overreactions like compared to the day one kind of overreactions, I guess, of is Navi crumbling, is their throne toppling, that kind of thing. So Navi got the job done. I think it was a lot closer than probably people anticipated. Remember, Navi was like a minus 600, 670 favorite or something. And these were two close maps. Again, maybe if some things went our way, Liquid could have pulled these games out. It was just a simple factor. And then OC let us down pretty hard, I think. I think Shox and Nitro actually performed pretty well. We just didn't get enough out of OC, and Elysian Af left a little bit to be desired, but we were asking a lot from them. So pretty good stuff from Navi. A little bit of foreshadowing with Electronic having a bad day. Maybe that's someone we can look forward to in the future. But overall, not that bad. I think here with that Liquid call, we were kind of close to hitting that. And that would have been a pretty large swing. I don't remember ownerships, but obviously Navi was going to be pretty huge. So, had Liquid gotten there, we would be talking very differently. So, not a lot there. And then I think for the simple and easiest slate to break down, I think we actually got this one pretty right. I said big. I think I said big 2-0, but I said it would be close. And this was probably a series you were going to want to avoid from the DFS aspect anyway. I believe my recommendation was to just one-off Searson, and based off the scores and how things shaked out, that was the way to go, actually. Although Automatic wouldn't have been bad either. Searson put up the best numbers. None of his teammates were there with him. I think maybe Keto wouldn't have been that bad considering how cheap he was, but yeah, we kind of got this one spot on, so we're pretty happy with that in that aspect. So we had one bad take, one okay take, one good take in the big series. So hopefully we can try to build off that. Although we did end up kind of getting washed yesterday, or at least I did. I wasn't that close in the DFS world. I was pretty heavy on the complexity side, Liquid as well. I did end up just one-offing Searson a lot, so I had that right, but you can't cash with 1/3 of a good lineup. So we take the losses and move on, but I'm still very much up on the CSGO here, as I do have that tournament win. So we're chilling. Then we look forward to tomorrow. Quick overview: we have Vitality minus 750, MIBR plus 450. Navi minus 550, NIP plus 365, and then Astralis Big with the closest series with Astralis 185 minus 185, Big plus 135. So first series, I don't want to spend too much time on these series because I want to talk more DFS things as a whole. So a little bit of a hot take here, but I think this series is actually somewhat closer. I'm not going to go ahead and go all the way as far as I did yesterday and say, oh, MIBR can win this series. But I think this opens up the conversation as a whole on CSGO DFS and scoring. And the conversation here is how much is the sweep bonus worth? The reason I'm bringing this up is because, as we know, when you sweep a team, you get 20 points. You get 15 from the rounds not played from the third map that doesn't happen, and then 5 for the sweep. However, if your team is swept, you get 15 points from the round not played bonus, and that's it. So the difference between getting swept and sweeping is 5 points, and that's like one good round of scores to make up. So it's definitely possible for your team to get swept and still end up scoring well. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm actually kind of liking the way MIBR is built here. head over to, sorry, I'm in the wrong area. Last month. Oh, I still need to get rid of Cello. Last month players. All right, there we go. Like I don't think you're crazy if you just want to go on the Vitality side. I'm typically a proponent of fading Zywoo. I know this is probably a hot take, and people kind of think I'm crazy for this, but actually, in my experience, leaving off Zywoo has actually produced pretty well. I think people like to kind of overrate him a little bit. Like I'm obviously not gonna sit here and try to tell you Zywoo isn't who he is. He is the number 2 player in the world. There's no doubt about that. But my thing is, at least, is he is not simple. I think simple is such a unique player in that even if they lose, like he could be crazy. Like some of his maps and numbers, where like if you miss him, you're gonna need him like 100% of the time. It seems like. I mean, of course, he has some bad series. Like you're gonna need simple like 95% of the time, and that's about where his ownership is. Like so, that's fine. But I feel like the same isn't there for Zywoo. I feel like he's still up there. He's about 70%, and he's typically owned like higher than that. It just feels like all the leverage side, like the leveraging Zywoo side, makes more sense. And that's typically where I am as well. I know I have some tweets in the not so recent past of roasting Zywoo, like people who play Zywoo, calling them fish. Like obviously that's being a little hyperbolic, but I'm typically just going to be on the fade side, and I think that's probably where I'll be today. I will talk about the slate overall as a whole, but you can probably piece together where I'm going just off of that sentiment. I like playing MIBR in DFS. I do think Vitality get the job 2-0, but I feel like when you could play like Exit and Jota, we checked their price. They're 6.6 and 6.2K. Like when you think about CSGO scoring and CSGO pricing and that sort of thing, you hope that maybe they get swept 2-0, but they go positive kill death wise. You're hoping for them to go maybe 45 and 40, for example. That leaves them with, I don't know, what is that, 20, that's like 30 points from just that. Then you add in hopefully like 10 assists, you're at 40. Maybe you get like a 4K, you're at like 45. Maybe they have an ace or something. Hopefully you can piece together some bonuses. You get like, I don't know, 10 points from the bonuses. Then you're at like 50. Then you get the like 60 from... you get the 15 from the getting swept round not played bonus, and then you're there at like 60 points ish. Obviously there's a lot of hypotheticals, like they could easily just get blown out and they have really bad games. That's definitely within the cards. But I'm saying it's not that hard to get there even when you're swept, and especially at their price tag, which is pretty cheap. So that's the move I'm liking. It'll probably be pretty low owned as well. I'd have to imagine people aren't going to want to play the huge underdog. So I believe you could play like Exit and Jota at sub 10%, get a lot of savings, and you kind of just hope that they can find a way to get there as the underdog. So that's where I'm leaning with this series. It's probably a really unique approach. Like if you guys think I'm just crazy and want to go with the Vitality side, I think that's fine. Looking at the Vitality pricing, it's pretty stock standard across the board about what I'd expect. I like playing Masut or Apex at this low price. I think Apex is somebody who can have like crazy pop-off games. I feel like should have like one of these maps should be pretty good for him, just because he is so aggressive and does so much. He can rack up the first kills, small bonuses. He is a proponent of getting those 4Ks and 5Ks as well. So I don't mind Apex. He seems pretty decent if you're going with the Vitality side. Obviously Zywoo stats are undeniable. He's not a bad play by any means. Dupree and Magus seem a little overpriced, But, if you get there, I don't think those are bad either. Even going Masuta, Masuta has proven to have some decent scores as well, and he's cheap. So I don't think anybody on that team is bad necessarily. I think MIBR, it's just Exa and Jota. Their stats so far have been significantly above their teammates. So I like those players. And, that's going to be a hot take, unpopular thing, really. Again, I don't think you're crazy for going Zaiwu or Vitality. That's just not where I like to go. I feel like it tends to work out more often than not. And when it does, it works out pretty well. So I just think the risk of leaving off Zaiwu off of the lineup is worth it. Feel free to disagree, but that's where I like to lean. I'll go with the MIBR side in this one. I think they can have some close maps. Maybe they could lose them both 16-10, and I think that's fine. And that's enough round wins for the MIBR players I'm looking at to get there. Heading over to the second series, should be Navi versus Nip. I think there's actually not a lot to talk about here. I'm just going to go ahead with the stock standard opinions that I believe everyone else will share. And I think that Navi are the rightful significant favorite. And the only reason I don't apply the same logic to the NIP players as I did to the MIBR players is because their team kill death ratio and individual player kill death ratios are so low. It seems pretty tough for their players to get there even in defeat. I feel like the same could not be said for MIBR, which is why I bring that up. The only option really, I guess, looking there is Hampus. He is super cheap at 5,600. So I guess there is a world where maybe Hampus does get there and he plays well at that super cheap price tag, and he could maybe get there in the sweep as well. So I don't think that's necessarily a terrible option. He'll probably be the sub 5-10% around there as well, similar to MIBR. Again, not a lot really to break down there for the Navi side. Everyone knows how good these players are. You probably just want to leave off Boomish. We look at pricing. Simple's a little bit cheaper than I expected, but obviously you're always just going to want to play Simple. I think playing him 100% of the time is probably a good idea. Bit still, his price is getting up there, but he still seems about right. Perfecto, again, I feel a little overpriced, but again, not a bad play. Like I said, I recommended him yesterday, and I believe he ended up getting there. I liked Simple Bit and Perfecto yesterday. That's usually my favorite combo. But as I alluded to earlier, I think going to Electronic here could low-key be worth it. We know how individually talented he is. It seems pretty unlikely that although he has been playing bad for 2 days, and although I am a big proponent of form and how those things translate and carry over typically, so normally this kind of goes against what I'd say normally, but this is something where you could maybe pay up to get contrarian. I think when you have Simple, Zaiwu, we'll talk about Blame F when we get there, but we have a lot of solid pay up options. It's gonna be hard to find money for Electronic here. And but we just know how individually skilled he is. I keep forgetting we have to pull it up this way. You see, he was the number 7 player in the world last year, number 5 the year before, number 6 the year before, number 4 the year before. He is an insanely talented individual player. Maybe he's having a slow start. Maybe he is not the ideal player here, but I like going Electronic, paying up to get unique. I'd imagine he's going to be left off a lot of lineups, like I said, because when you have Simple, Zaiwu, Blame F up there above him, it's going to be hard to find 8,800 for Electronic. So I think if you go Simple, Electronic, I don't know, maybe Bit or Perfecto, it'd be hard to fit all three of Simple, Electronic, and Bit in. But that I like going to Electronic and getting unique that way. With Simple as well. Obviously gonna love Simple 100% of the time. Again, Hampus isn't too terrible as a one-off. Maybe the same logic from MIBR applies to him as well. All of Navi seem a little overpriced, but I think they're in a pretty good spot too. So heading over to the third and final series, we have Astralis Big, and I actually do have like a little bit of a hot take on this one. I feel like Astralis could maybe be a little bit more of a favorite. The only reason I'm a little hesitant to kind of go crazy with it is that Big tend to just play these matches super close. And I don't know, Big are kind of like the football equivalent of like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it feels like no matter how good or how bad the opponent is, they can play them pretty close. I know that kind of doesn't stand true for like the Steelers in the playoffs, whatever, but typically and historically that narrative applies to the Steelers, who just can lose to the tie with the Lions, and then make the playoffs. Like they kind of just play everyone close no matter what. It feels the same to Big, but also at some point you kind of have to look at who they've played and kind of take that into context. I think when you look, their wins are over Complexity and EG, two teams that look pretty shaky and teams that I'm not very high on, and their losses are to NIP, again a team that looks a little shaky. Although NIP have looked better than I anticipated, they still are not looking elite. And when your wins are over bad teams, your losses are not versus great teams, it seems a little shaky there. I just feel like Astralis have been playing a little bit better. They've played the same teams they played Entropic, K23, Fnatic. Looks like they got similar results, so I guess that's interesting. But then you look over on the Astralis side, they lost to OG, who came out guns blazing, swept their group 3-0, and then they beat MIBR and Navi. Again, I think MIBR are a little underpriced, a little underrated overall so far from what we've seen from them, and then beating Navi. Although we can say Navi had a bad day there, like that's not a hard thing to imagine. But you still beat the best team in the world. There has to be some credit given to them for that. So I just feel like the Astralis side is the better side here. Not a lot to love for the betting side. Not a lot to love really anywhere. I think maybe going like the MIBR plus 1.5 wouldn't be that crazy. Although I think maybe the better way to attack it is taking them in the individual round count. I think going with like MIBR plus 5.5 or plus 4.5 wouldn't be that crazy either. So I like Astralis a good amount in this third series. The thing here with the Astralis side, for the DFS purposes at least anyway, is BlameF looks to be significantly above everyone. And I feel like Glaive is pretty like high up there as well. When you look at him, like he's like the third priced one, 7,600. That's a little tough. He's been performing pretty well this month, but I think when you look at things in the context of this tournament, Glaive has been down there, even below ZipX. I think when you look at this tournament, how they're performing right now, I actually feel like this is a fair representation of who I like. Config has been underperforming pretty hardly. Lucky hasn't been quite there as well. Overall, I think this is a series you probably want like little exposure to. It feels like a lot like the big series yesterday. I feel like it's just the way Big plays. I'm not sure what it is, but it feels like they engage in like a lot of those close games, close rounds, a lot of kills and deaths traded back and forth. So it doesn't lend itself to have the credence of a high kill ceiling game, really. So I think again this is like a series you want to be on the lighter side on, maybe one-offing somebody like Searson if you're leaning the big side. He's still completely mispriced. He should be like much higher up. So maybe if you want to go with the Searson one-off, or maybe even if you want to get unique and go with like a BlameF on the one side and then Searson on the other, I guarantee you that'll be like super low owned combination when you're playing players against each other. Typically people do that in 2 gamers. That's pretty rare in 3 gamers. but I don't think it has a bad place here. Like if you think this game goes to a third map, like Searson doing well on winning his map, Blame F doing well winning his map, and then they like do okay on losing maps, like it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they have a good 3-map series where both of these players get there. Again, I prefer the Astralis side. I think they're probably just the better team. I think they should probably get this win. I'm not sure 2-0, 2-1, but I like the Blame. I like Blame F. I feel like Lucky's a little underpriced. I feel like he should be a little bit better. Again, on the big side, not a lot to love outside of Searson, but he's pretty mispriced. So again, I don't blame you if you want to go like with the Searson Blame F, or if you don't even want to play Blame F at that price. I wonder if Blame F is the one that gets squeezed out also. I'm not an ownership guy. I really don't know that much. I just have like a little bit of loose guesses. I'd guess MIBR are going to be sub 10%. I'd guess, I don't know what Blame F will be, but I think he's going to be squeezed out pretty hard, considering Zywoo and Simpler above him. So I like going simple. Obviously, I like going to Blame F as a kind of pivot in that area away from Simple and Zywoo, and I like going to Electronic again. Hasn't been playing well and has some upside as well. We know how individually skilled he is. So that's what I like for saving money. I like the MIBR side. I wouldn't hate going Hampus, but I don't think I'm going to end up getting there. Not a lot to save, not a lot of money to save there on the Navi side. And again, maybe you do just want to play Searson. He's just a really good player, really good stats, and it should be a close series, and he's just underpriced, really. So I'm going to have to take some time, figure out what I want to build with. There's not a lot really to love. But that kind of makes it an interesting slate when there's no obvious plays. I feel like outside of Searson, everyone is pretty normally priced and makes sense. So this should be pretty good, pretty interesting slate. A lot of unique possibilities. My final thoughts really is I like fading Zywoo. It'll be crazy. I like going MIBR. Again, pretty crazy. I'll probably just go heavy on Navi. I think they should probably style out here on NIP. Feels like this talent disparity is going to really come through in that one. And then I like big in Astralis, probably just to go like over 2.5. This seems like a really close series where they probably each like win their own map pick or something like that. And I think when you have a close series like that, you typically want to just go to the best players because those usually are the only ones that are worth going to. So Searson and Blame F in that third series. If you think Astralis get it done better, then I think Lucky seems a little underpriced. So again, it's pretty tough. There's not a lot to go off of still. That's just where I'm leaning. I like to mix it up and get pretty unique in CSGO. Like I said, because things are so day to day. So that's where I'm headed. I think we have another 3-gamer tomorrow. We can look ahead a little bit. So we have G2 against, I don't remember, the winner of somebody. I don't know the bracket. Here we can look at the bracket. So it'll be G2 against the winner of Vitality and MIBR. That should be a great series. I think that's world number 2 against world number 3. That'll be great. Then we have OG versus Nip or Navi. That should be Navi. I think that'll be a pretty good series as well. But again, it's hard to kind of doubt the Navi side. Astralis versus Big, and then the winner goes against FaZe. That'll be a pretty close series as well. I think kind of looking ahead, I assume Navi and Vitality get the job done. That'll be a great close series. I'd imagine G2 are like slight favorites in this one. Maybe we'll see. But this will be a close, odd series. Navi should be the favorite over OG, but again, a close series as well. Then Astralis or Big versus FaZe. FaZe will be a slight favorite, but I believe there shouldn't be any too huge favorites tomorrow, so we should have some good games, and looking forward to tomorrow. But hopefully we can do well, I guess technically tomorrow, in this blast slate. For now, I'm going to try to make a Call of Duty CSGO or Call of Duty DFS video for you guys. So that's going to be it for me. Best luck to you guys tonight, and I'll see you guys for Call of Duty. If you're interested, I'll try to teach everyone how to play, and then I will see you guys for CSGO tomorrow if you guys are coming back. So thank you all, and I will see you tomorrow.